Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
Good morning, and welcome to this week's National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. I am your co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine, here with your host, Mr. Lee Martin, and some very interesting guests. Lee, how are you doing today, sir?
And I'm doing just fine today, and I just can't wait to get to our guest. And I want to thank our viewing and listening audience for continuing to join and support us with this NFB Newsline Indiana show. So I'm going to go straight to our guest today, and all the way from Terre Haute, Indiana, we have Mr. Danny Wayne Beamer and also Miss Dee Dodd. I want to welcome you both to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Okay, well, we're going to go right into this program. And I just want to, first off, in honor of our servicemen that have given their lives and those that have recently fallen, I just want to have a second of silence for them. And I also want to take this moment with Danny. He had the opportunity, a privilege of going to see a graduation in San Diego. Danny, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I will. Thank you very much. My grandson, a graduate from Terre Haute North High School, he went directly, literally right from graduation. He didn't even graduate. In fact, he went right to boot camp, San Diego, California at the depot. And I had a chance to be on the campus when my grandson graduated from boot camp, and it was quite an emotional time. And Dee has a lot of military family too as well, and she and I talked about this a little bit more. It's certainly an honor. And when I'm sitting there watching him, the final day, the graduation, that was the Afghanistan occurrences were taking place, and I didn't ask him anything about that. I just did not, but there was so much pride there. 322 graduates in Marine boot camp, and they moved on to the next phase. So it was very emotional for my family, my daughter not seeing her son and talking to him for 13 weeks, but then getting to see him and watching the families there. It was a tremendous experience. And, I'm a little more seasoned, and Dee and I've talked about this. We both have family military background. My son was a Marine too as well, and went through the same thing, 20 years ago. So thank you very much, Lee.
Okay, and just want to thank both of you guys for having service members serving our country. There's not much greater honor as I served as a veteran. I'm a veteran myself. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Wabash Independent Living and Learning Center in Terre Haute throughout our program here. There's so much to offer there. But before we go there, I want Danny to tell me a little bit about his experiences and what he does there at the Will Center, also in conjunction with the National Federation of the Blind Newsline.
Absolutely. And this is something that I've been a part of this organization for a number of years. And I started using the NFB Newsline as a tool for myself, but then I introduced it to Dee Dodd, and Dee said, Danny, this is a great way people can hear the daily culture, daily events that take place. And Dee, you probably have some kind of feedback of that conversation as well.
Oh yeah, over the last year with the isolation people have experienced, it's been one of the things they've used the most. So it's been a savior, to be honest to you.
And as we reach out to individuals and we talk about, this is a part of life, obituaries, and it's hard for them to get a hold of those, but the NFB Newsline makes it very, very simple to hear these obituaries. And so Dee and I, we work a lot with people, and we want to make sure that we are aware of their presence, because it's emotional to call and say, hey, I'm checking on, Joe Smith, and they say, well, Joe passed away, but now we're a little more tuned to that and know. And Dee, I believe you send out cards after you get the notice.
Sure do. Sure do. Sympathy cards. I think that's an important thing to do.
So thank you to the NFB Newsline. That gives me an additional tool to do the job that I do at the Will Center. And Dee and I work on a low vision program, and we reach out to individuals in 6 Indiana counties. That's a lot of area to reach out to. And sometimes having NFB Newsline as a resource and encouraging people to use it. I mean, I can talk and talk about it, but once you get involved in it, you really kind of get hooked on something like that. And it also has a couple of other resources that I think a lot of people forget about. But if you're someone who's going to college, there's a great bit of information on there about the resources through the colleges across the state of Indiana and who to contact, because as Dee, doing your graduate program, sometimes getting an answer for something isn't easy.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'll tell you what, we certainly appreciate all your work with the NFB Newsline in that portion of the state. It's very important and vital that individuals know of these resources that they have. And you guys there at the Will Center do a great job with subscribers and with your clientele down in that area. And I just want to thank you once again for all the work and things that you do.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Danny.
And Lee, my wife wanted to let you know that she's very thankful that I use the NFB Newsline app at night, because that's about an hour and a half that she doesn't have to talk to me. So she wanted to let you know that, Lee, that you are a great deal of help. And Florence, thank you to both of you, because she said for an hour and a half a night, he's over there going, because the iPhone is zipping through there. But that app is absolutely stellar. I mean, it really has worked great. And I read a lot. I mean, I read a variety of publications. So my wife said, thank you, Lee, to the NFB Newsline.
And what is one of your favorite publications that you like to read?
Oh my God. Well, Lee, you're doing this to me. It's a good thing you didn't ask me my favorite record. Okay. The Terre Haute newspaper, Indianapolis Star. Oh my gosh. There's so many, Lee, I have 37 different things that I read through on a daily basis. I can't narrow it down, to be honest. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, it's true. He constantly is listening to something. I hear it all the time. I said it. It's a savior.
Yeah. Well, but for other people, because we have people that talk about, just the other day, someone wanted Reader's Digest magazine, and Dee's like, hey, we'll show it to you and introduce it to you. And I think that's the real challenge for an elderly group of people. And we work more and more with that. You can do the phone or you can do the app. And once we show people the app and how easy it is, oh man, it just falls into place, because a few clicks and you're good to go.
Well, and then you forget about like your Google Home or your Echo, and that you can now listen to it on that as well. It's even more convenient for them.
Yeah, I love that Echo. And I tell you, Florence, you want to talk a little bit about that KNFB reader that we have on the app?
Yes, that's one of the features that I really enjoy, the basic KNFB reader. It gives me the opportunity to pick up my text, my printed material, and it'll read it to me. It gives me that opportunity to do it independently. And that is so important to people that are low vision and blind. And so I use that KNFB reader every single day.
And there's so much more, and just pay attention to our commercials and give us a call. And we also have information running across the screen, and also verbalize about how to contact the Will Center and the Terre Haute, Indiana area. So we're going to take a short pause, and we're going to come back with our guests, Mr. Danny Wayne Beamer and Ms. Dee Dodd. Stay tuned.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
Join us at the Indiana Vision Expo, Saturday, September 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. People with vision loss, their friends, families, and service providers can find resources for independent living. Meet the Talking Book and Braille staff. Get info on the Lux IQ lighting diagnostic tool and the latest from vendors like Bosma Enterprises, National Federation of the Blind, and Vision Aid Systems. Saturday, September 11th, 10 to 2 at the Indiana State Library. Park for $10 at the Senate Avenue parking garage. This message from NFB Newsline, Indiana.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana. And we're talking today to our guest, Mr. Danny Wayne Beamer and Ms. Dee Dodd. Now, Dee, what is your title over at the Wilson?
I'm the low vision program coordinator.
Okay, now what do you do there?
People come to us, honestly, most of the time when they're struggling with that vision loss. And so we help them maintain or increase their independence through skills and strategies that we use. So I'll do an assessment with them to see where their vision is at and help them with those skills and strategies. So it could be, magnification, technology, lighting. Lighting is really important, a number of things. And Danny Wayne walks that path. So a lot of the time, at the same time, he can also be empathetic, sympathize with them. And then we help them together as a team to increase their independence and stay independent.
Okay, now you mentioned lighting, which is so important. Tell us a little bit more about this, the lighting for people that are coping with vision loss.
Sure. Lighting is actually really important. And over the last 9 years working with Danny Wayne, I've actually found that a lot of people struggle to see things. And a lot of the time it's that their lighting is not adequate. And there's a lot of different types of lighting, and most people don't realize that. So depending on your visual acuity, depends on what type of lighting you might need. There is an ambient light, which is known as an indirect light, and that is actually something that is used for more of like an open window or overhead light. But if you want to have a task light, then you're looking more of like into something that is known as a direct light. And that would be like a lamp or something that would be directly pointing at the object that you're trying to see. And those are two really important types of light. And then the other thing is, just keep in mind that, if you're trying to complete a task, that getting familiar with the type of lighting that you're using is really important. So it's best sometimes to do a trial and error, honestly, when it comes to lighting, learn about the different types of light, learn about lumens and Kelvin. With the aging population right now, it is important. People struggle. Matter of fact, as an adult, it is known that people who have healthy eyes actually require 15 times more light than someone age 10. So if a healthy person requires that much light, then imagine what a low vision person would require.
Okay, and now I find that to be interesting because a lot of times when people are coping with a change in their vision, they may go to their ophthalmologist or optometrist, and they may get a pair of glasses thinking that, okay, this is going to help, when actually it may be the lighting, you think?
Sometimes it is, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, most individuals require between 1,000 to 7,000 lumens, which is the brightness of your bulb. And most houses only have between 500 to 600 lumens. So they never usually have enough light in their home. And it definitely makes a big difference. I mean, I've went into people's homes and installed the correct lighting, and they were able to complete tasks that they were really struggling with. And that right there is independence.
It is. And now these bugs that you're speaking about, is it something that you have over at the Wilson, or is it something that a person has to ask their optometrist about? Tell us a little bit more about that, Dee.
Well, actually what it is I have a it's called the Lux IQ, and it is a tool that I use to do an assessment with. And that tells me by working with the individual what type of lumens and Kelvin that they would need. So Kelvin is the softness or harshness of the bulb, and lumens is the brightness of the bulb. And so basically after that, I take and put that information in an app, and that spits out what type of bulb they would need. And most people can actually go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, and purchase the bulbs on their own. Once I give them, okay, you need 5,000 Kelvin and you need 1,000 lumen, then they can go look at that package and look for those, because wattage is a term that is no longer used anymore.
That is so very interesting, I would say, Florence and Dee. I mean, because I'm sitting here trying to imagine that, lighting itself. And I know myself, I like lighting for different, settings, whatever I may be doing, or just relaxing and things like that. Do you find that most people with vision loss that are coping with it like the different settings as well, or do they strictly have to stick to the bulb that you recommend?
Actually, it depends on which room you're in and what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, like I said, that's where you have that indirect light or that ambient light. So it can change. I mean, I could actually go into an office and they could use that Lux IQ, and I could test and find out, okay, this is what lighting you need here. But then we go into the kitchen and do the same assessment and find out they need a completely different lighting in there. So it's all about trial and error, to be honest with you. I would recommend, if somebody's struggling, to find out first, do you prefer daylight or soft light? Daylight is that light that's coming in from your window. You can buy bulbs that replicate that. And then soft light actually has to be from a light. And then go to the store and kind of purchase some light bulbs and try and see which helps you see which one's better.
And if I could add to this, I know we're just touching the surface, but on September the 11th, Dee is actually going to do a presentation at the Indiana Low Vision Expo that morning, I believe about 10:30. So she'll get into more in depth and talk a little bit more about it. I believe, Dee, you got a giveaway.
I do. I have a lamp that's been donated from LS&S to give away. So it's a door prize. So hopefully I'll get to give it to somebody who can really use it.
Hey, Dee. The lamp. Tell us a little bit more about the lamp.
Okay. Well, this particular lamp actually is a battery operated lamp. And it is one that is more for task lighting. And it was donated, like I said, from LS&S. So it's a rechargeable lamp, which is pretty cool. There is another lamp, though, I think that I talked to you guys about. It's called a happy lamp. And that helps individuals that are struggling from non-24, seasonal affective disorder, different conditions like that. And you can find that lamp, honestly, on, it's by Verlux, and it's on Amazon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, you're going to take us a short pause here, and we're going to come back. And, you can always come to the Indiana Vision Expo. There's information out there, and some numerous commercials that we have running for the expo. So we want you to come out and explore the expo, enjoy the expo, and learn. There's so much more to learn, and maybe you can win that particular lamp. So we'll be right back with Mr. Danny Wayne Beamer, and we'll find out more about him. Stay tuned.
Join us at the Indiana Vision Expo, Saturday, September 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. People with vision loss, their friends, families, and service providers can find resources for independent living. Meet the Talking Book and Braille staff. Get info on the Lux IQ lighting diagnostic tool and the latest from vendors like Bosma Enterprises, National Federation of the Blind, and Vision Aid Systems. Saturday, September 11th, 10 to 2 at the Indiana State Library. Park for $10 at the Senate Avenue parking garage. This message from NFB Newsline, Indiana.
I just graduated college as a blind student. How can I independently find job listings?
Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
It is a fantastic service.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
The
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
Welcome back to this segment of the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana, and we're speaking with Danny Wayne Beamer and Miss Dee Dodd from the Will Center in Terre Haute. And Lee?
I just want to say to Danny Wayne Beamer, it has been a privilege and a pleasure to be your colleague since the time that I met you after losing my sight, and the inspiration that you've given me throughout the years. And I really want to say thank you at the top of this particular segment.
You know, I really appreciate hearing that. And Dee and I have had a lot of contact with a lot of individuals in the last 9 years. We've really, honestly, it's difficult sometimes when someone, and she'll testify to this, when we meet with them in their home and they're scared. They are absolutely terrified that their life has changed drastically. They don't drive anymore. They can't do the independent things they wanted to do. But Dee, you and I have got a platform, and we've helped a lot of these people.
We sure have. I mean, we make sure that we will let them know that it's okay. You're going to live your life, and we're going to help you be more independent.
So vital and so important that we do that as we're charged to do. And you guys have done such a great job. Danny, what is your position with the Will Center?
I'm the assistant director. Dee and I work on the low vision program, but I've moved up and I'm the assistant director, taking on more responsibility, general, and I'm learning a lot. And actually, I steal from Dee. I keep talking about her, but she's in the middle of her master's in leadership, and I don't have a master's in leadership. I learn by the mistakes that I make, and I make some, and she and I have frank discussions about that, about, things and how to come across, because sometimes I'm a very driven person, but sometimes the recipient on the other end is not quite as driven, and I get a little frustrated sometimes. So the word de-escalation comes up in the conversations that Dee and I work with individuals, because we work with them in the center, we work with them as well out in the field. We're looking forward to seeing everybody at the NFB booth at the expo.
Okay, and that Vision Expo is put on by the Indiana State Talking Book and Braille Library, and there will be a number of patrons there with everything that you can actually think of for low vision and blind citizens. It is one of the best programs, gatherings that we have throughout the state of Indiana. And we want to make sure that everyone pays attention to the commercials, and the timing of everything is going to be a great expo this year. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Danny, several things about you. You have been an individual that have received a number of recognitions. And I'll tell you, you just don't receive them just because you're Danny Wayne Beamer. I love the name itself. But I want to once again do some recognition on your 2019 recognition of the Indiana Assistant Technology Champion Award that you received. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
That's something that the Easter Seals organization in data quite surprised me with. But that's something that, and I've learned a lot, and I ask a lot of questions. Ask Dee Dodd. I ask a lot of questions, and I learned from that. So if I can take that knowledge and pass it on, that's better than anything recognition. The recognition to me is the warmth I get from somebody who says, "Wow, I didn't know that." Toothpaste, rubber band around a toothpaste, how a simple thing can make a difference getting it off of your very stylish shirt, which you're someone who's conscious about your wardrobe. So there you go.
Well, I hope I don't ever get any toothpaste near anything I wear. But I also want to recognize that you received the recipient of the 2020 NFB Circle City chapter and your child service award.
Gosh, yes, I am. And I'm telling you, I'm not just saying this, that NFB Newsline is just something that's, because I quest knowledge every day. I mean, I do. So thank you very much for that recognition to all of the chapters across the state of Indiana from the National Federation of the Blind.
Well, Danny, I tell you, you have this passion for technology. And real quick, could you tell me, what does the future look for blind and visually impaired citizens with the future of technologies related to employment? I want
to say something people are probably not going to like, but it's a great time to be blind or visually impaired. And Dee and I do this every week. We're searching for new technology and sometimes some more simple things that come along. But the pathway is getting better and better. And if you're someone sitting on the couch, get off the couch. We've got something to show you.
Well, I certainly appreciate those words of encouragement. And I tell you, 24 minutes go by so fast. So we're at the conclusion of our show. And Danny, just give us one bit of encouragement that you may want to leave our viewers and listeners.
Tomorrow, the sun's going to come up. If you can't see it, you can feel it. So get out there and feel it. Feel it or see it, whichever you like best.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, I'm feeling you guys. And in my imaginary mind, I'm seeing you guys. And I just want to tell you, thank you very much, Florence. We want to thank our guests for coming on to the show.
Ms. D. Dodd, thank you so very much for being our guest today. Mr. Danny Wayne Beamer, you both have really given us wonderful information. Thank you so very much. We're looking forward to having you two back.
And we're also looking forward to seeing you at the Indiana Vision Expo.
Yes, sir.
All right. You guys, take good care of yourselves, and thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
It was a privilege.
All right. Goodbye.
Join us at the Indiana Vision Expo, Saturday, September 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. People with vision loss, their friends, families, and service providers can find resources for independent living. Meet the Talking Book and Braille staff. Get info on the Lux IQ lighting diagnostic tool and the latest from vendors like Bosma Enterprises, National Federation of the Blind, and Vision Aid Systems. Saturday, September 11th, 10 to 2 at the Indiana State Library. Park for $10 at the Senate Avenue parking garage. This message from NFB Newsline, Indiana.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.